Alright, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 360 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing TKOG. Today I'm going to be updating Plunder patrols for you guys. I actually took them to my locals today, had a lot of fun, definitely caught a lot of people off guard, and got to clap some shit all cheeks, and had a really fun last match against Unchained, which is a really cool deck that I actually like to play, and it's just one of the funnest matchups I had with this deck today. So I did not top today, but I still wanted to show my list regardless, because this is just something I took more or less for the 90-90 boo-boo, because I really wanted to take my Lair of Darkness Invoked Ogdoatic deck with the virus traps, but I didn't have the cards yet, and I didn't want to play Shadows like I wanted to, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to play something different. I had fun. There were 6 rounds today. I played against Invoke Shadows the first round. I actually 2-0'd that guy. He just... Honestly, if this deck opens good, if you're actually able to play the game, let's say Shadal's able to play their game and I'm able to play mine, this deck is going to have a pretty high favor because just mainly, the power of Moark and Brawn in that matchup, banishing Meltdowns and Schisms, always banishing the fusions, preventing them from being able to recover their cards, banishing Op Cologne and Construct. It makes it really hard, and also banishing Alistair really makes things difficult for them to even play. So Moark is actually a beast against Shadal's. It's a beast against also Eldritch. It's a beast against Zodiac. And if you time it correctly and you're able to set up Booty and Battle Phase, you could catch some dinos off guard as well. Honestly, the deck was it's really nice. This deck is pretty crazy. I definitely got to clap some cheeks, and I got clapped in return, so it's okay. Before I get any further, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. If you're going to keep watching my videos, you might as well watch them while you're subbed, and click the notification bell so you're going to be notified every time I upload. If you want to support the channel in any way, shape, or form, whether it's becoming a member of the Patreon or joining the Discord or buying some of my merchandise, my Team Kings Against t-shirts, you are more than welcome to do that. I do give back to those who give to me. If you're more interested, click the link in the description box below and you can figure out how you can get involved with those. With all that said, I'm going to continue. So, yeah, match 1 against Invoke Dolls. Yeah, there was one of those games out of, because we only had 2 matches, it was just 2-0, but I think it was game 1. He just opened up, Winda into, a Beast, Hedgehog, draw, got a couple cards. He pretty much made, a free Winda, and, this deck doesn't struggle against Winda by herself, honestly. You gotta back it up with something, but if it's just Winda, this deck just summons one card, it's one special summon, it's literally a card that outs the Winda and prevents you from recovering, so it's pretty one-sided. And then the second game, he actually went first. He opened up pretty nice. I just kept drawing the right hand. I remember I had fusion and some plunder names. I think I made Lease, equipped it, got it beefy enough to beat over Winda, and I had the negate for his negate. It was just my hand was so perfect. I'm not gonna lie. So that was a 2-0. Dinos, that was a 1-2. I lost him in game 3. Disclaimer. I normally don't like to sound like a sore loser, and this is not me being a sore loser. This is me saying that I really did misplay. I had an Ice Dragon's Prison and a Plunder Patrol Booty. What I ended up doing, and this is where I realized I messed up, was he activated Misk. I decided to chain Prison, and in response, I chained Booty. No, I activated Prison because I had Moark up. So he activated Misk, I chained Prison. Then he chained another copy of Misk. I was like, wow, just my luck. So then I'm chain Booty, target your Ovi. I think I declared Light. What I was supposed to do next was actually chain my Moark to banish his Ovi. Because here's how it happened. Everything played out. IDP resolved to summon Misk, but it wasn't able to banish because the Ovi was unaffected. I got my guy off of Booty. And then, now that his dinos are unaffected, my Moark was turned off. So I didn't use Moark, and I never got a chance to. Because the rest of the turn, he could put up a negate. So what he ended up doing next was he OV'd to pop the Misk I summoned off IDP to bring back his second copy of Misk and made Evil's Ardoka. And then I realized it clicked in my brain. I was like, oh, I was supposed to chain Moark to the second copy of Misk to banish the Ovi to prevent that from happening, so that now the Plunder I summoned off Booty could make, for example, Lease, and then Lease negates the graveyard effect of Misk, because he had a baby left in his hand, and that's where I messed up. So I really did misplay. It's not like a sore loser, oh, he just, drew so much better. Yeah, I really had the correct combination of cards to stop his play, and I didn't use them correctly. So that was my bad, but it was 1-2. I still lost. I still gave him the handshake and said GG, but the third one was against Invoke Dolls. That was also a 1-2. It came down to the wire, and it got down to game 3, and honestly, bro, like Shaddolls are just, they're insane. Like, they're very insane. Like, I think I made him go first, and I drew like Twin Twisters and some other pretty decent cards. The main thing was like the Twin Twisters, because I ended up fusing into Lease and using the Twin, and I hit Cosmic Cyclone and Super Poly. And after I did that, like I tried to go into a Blackbeard play, he stopped it, and I just ended up having not enough to recover from that, and it came down to like him having the Ulster follow-up and just the Shaddolls in general. It was a really good match though. I like how this deck plays against Invoke Shaddolls. I think it's one of the funner matchups, and honestly, this deck really does have a pretty strong Shaddol matchup in general, whether it's Invoked or if it's Dogmatica or all three. It has a really strong matchup against those decks because you have like the perfect spot removal. What better way to get rid of the Shaddol cards or the Invoke cards or the Dogmatica cards than to banish them so that you can't recover them off Nadir and Invocation and the Shaddol being able to add their cards from graveyard to hand. Round 4, it was a bye. I think I got the bye because I lost 2 times in a row after my first round. Round 5, I played against Eldritch Dragoon Control. It was a 2-0, but it got into a crazy little chain link war. He actually got to go first. He summon limit, torrential tributed me. I still came back off of it though. And then we got into a crazy war against his Dragoon. I Desires. He Drone Lockbirded me. And then I chained Callby to target the Drone Lockbird. What that did was it made it look like the Drone Lockbird was going to end my turn. So he actually chained his Dragoon to negate my Callby. I had Gamma and Droplets. His life was at 1700. So what I did was I chained Gamma. I asked him for a response. He didn't respond. So then I chained my Droplets to send my Callby and negated the Dragoon so it could be destroyed. I summoned my Gamma and Driver and then poke for game. And then game 2, he had Imperial Order and Summon Limit, I think. And it just still came down to like me being able to put more pressure on board than he could. I outed his Dragoon in game 2 because I outed it both games. And then game 2, I think, yeah, it was kind of sacky. It was actually double Ice Dragon's Prison was how I outed it. It was pretty sacky, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, that was a 2-0. And then round 6, I played against Unchained. That was also a 2-0. The most interesting interaction was probably when it came down to he had Artifact Sanctum with the Unchained Soul of Rage, the Link 2. And he Sanctumed me on draw phase. I chained Droplets, sending my own Droplets and my Whitebeard to negate his Scythe and the Unchained Link. I ended up resolving it. It came down to like a pretty... Actually, no, it was a 2-1. He won game 2. I remember that because that's the game I lost. Because I pushed through that, and then I tried to make Brawn. Because that's what happened. I tried to make Brawn to banish. I accidentally targeted the Ice Dragon's Prison. Not accidentally. I just didn't know what it was. It was face down. Targeted Ice Dragon's Prison. He chained it, banished. And then I ended up I made a few things from extra deck. I forced out his Escape, which is like their Raigeki Break to pop. And then the last card I had to play into, he used Chamber to summon back his Link 2, and he linked off my last resource. It came down to me searching off my Bluebeard, and I used Golden Hair's effect to discard Golden Hair to summon Golden Hair, and I was going to reveal Bluebeard to like hard summon a Mork or make a Blackbeard so that I can get more resources back just so I can draw and net some advantage and get a Mork out. But then he linked off with my Golden Hair on summon, which would normally seem like a bad play because Golden Hair by herself doesn't do anything, but I guess he was able to telegraph that I could just special summon Bluebeard. So, but it was just a really good game. And then game 2, it's like unfortunate. I kind of like just destroyed him. But nonetheless, really good games. Very fun matches today. I am definitely going to be looking forward to playing my Plunder Patrols more, especially with their new support coming out. This deck is very nice. This deck is gas. My losses were my losses, but I still had fun. So, let's go ahead and get into the list. So, obviously for the Plunder names... and not much is going to change. Let me just separate these cards right here. I've got the good monsters, and then the good spells and traps, and then I've got like all my defensive cards, right? Like the defensive cards are kind of like techie. I should have played Pankratops again. Pankratops puts in a lot of work. So for the Plunder names, I played the standard 12, 3 of each, 3 white, 3 red. I played 3 golden hair, though. Standalone Plunder that can make plays by herself on your first turn without relying on your opponent. And then 3 copies of blue. All of these are exceptionally good. You don't want to cut any of them. You max out on all of them because any hand with the combination of these is a good hand, especially when it comes to drawing Golden Hair or Bluebeard plus one of the other beards. It makes for really nutty plays. You can have anywhere between Omni Negates, Spell Trap Negates, or just a lot of resources funneling from one to another, like the Blackbeard Lease loop where you're just like constantly drawing off Blackbeard and then using Leash to summon back cards from your Spell Trap Zone just to target them with Blackbeard and put them back and then draw a card and then summon it back with Leash, use Blackbeard, target it, put it back in Spell Trap Zone, draw a card. So you have this constant rotation of drawing and searching and just using the same, like you could use, for example, the same Redbeard to, or that's a bad example because Redbeard can use his own effect to summon. So you could use the same Golden Hair off Blackbeard, equip it with, like, let's say, for example, a Redbeard, and then you use it, blah, 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 blah. I mean, equip it to a Morg. You use it, yada, yada, yada. You use Leash to summon this back, and then obviously, and you're doing it over turns. You're not doing it on the same turn before somebody gets the wrong idea. You're using it every time you get the chance. So you're using Leash and you're using Blackbeard pretty much on your opponent's turn and on your turn. So every turn. So you're like, target Golden Hair. I summon this ship. I use this ship as a quick effect. Use its effect. I use Leash as a monster negate. Then I'm on res. I'm like, Leash, summon this guy back. On my turn, Blackbeard, target the same guy. Equip him, get my draw. Da-da-da-da-da. Use effects. Rinse, wash, and repeat. Summon this guy back off Leash. Blackbeard, equip it. It's just a really good funnel of resources just to get your cards max advantage. You're just like squeezing every bit and every ounce that you can get out of all your cards because this deck just grinds so well. It has a huge snowballing factor. Like these 12 monsters just turn into OTKs. They turn into crazy follow-ups. A ton of a potential for grinding, and they just mesh really well. Honestly, like there's very few matchups where like you're just like it's so unfavorable to the point where you just can't play. This deck can pretty much tank with most of the meta right now, honestly. There's a few exceptions, like if you occasionally will run into Virtual World or Tri-Brigade, those are very unfavorable matchups, but it's not the end of the world. You could still play. Getting past that, we have Shipyard. I was using this like a madman today. I was doing so many cool plays with this. Balancing my equips, my emblems, equipping light Whitebeard, balancing Whitebeard, just to discard Whitebeard, search, and then special. I mean, this card is very, very nutty. It's actually insane. Like, I got this Heavy Storm Dustard just to literally use this effect from grave. And what's cool is it actually targets the card, sets it, and then if you do, you add the card. So what's cool is that because the first part that happens to set is like, let's say your opponent like pops the target, this will still get set, the card just won't get bounced. So this card's actually pretty nutty. Shipyard's just insane. It's your searcher, it's your firepower. It enables so much explosive plays and OTKs, and every turn that this is up, it's just a follow-up. It lets you grind extremely well. It's the entire deck. It's actually one of the most perfect field spells ever designed by Konami, not gonna lie. Triple Pot of Desires is the best draw card in this deck. None of the pots are good because you want to draw Blackbeard and you care about your extra deck way too much to banish anything. This is the best pot to run. It's just extremely, extremely good in this deck. There's just too many 3-Fs per pot to really like screw you. Next up, I played 3 copies of Fusion. Fusion is insane. This really helps you to just crack Dragon Link boards and other combo boards. Like, this card is actually really insane. I think it's underrated as a 3-F. Most people play 2 or even 1. It's extremely powerful. What this card's going to do is force 2 negates in 1. You're going to activate it. It's going to force Savage or even Hot Red. And then you're going to just summon your Plunder and then use this effect to equip from grave. They're either going to negate that, or you're going to equip Emblem, and they're either going to negate Emblem, or they're going to let Emblem resolve for you to put up a Mork or a Lease, and they're going to have to negate that. So no matter how you look at it, there's no way that this card doesn't force 2 interruptions by itself. It's a very, very powerful card. It makes going second a breeze with this deck. You don't even need to draw Dark Roller or Droplets or like anything crazy. You could just look at a double or triple Omni Negate board and literally just clap it. I've shown you guys on video, on camera, using my Plunder Patrols, breaking 3 or 4 Omni Negate boards with just Plunders. It's insane. And Gamma makes this card even more cracked. So it's very, very good, and it gets you access to your Emblem. Or if you don't need it and you have access to the Shipyard somewhere, sometimes I even search Shipyard off of Morg and then discard Shipyard for my next Plunder, so that on my follow-ups, I can not only get Shipyard, but I get a resource to hand. Because how it works is, like, let's say you have red or white equipped, you're going to search this off Morg, and then you discard this off Brawn or even Lease, and then your next turn, and this is better than this being in your hand because you're going to literally get your Plunder name to hand and set this so that you basically get the full cost to activate the card versus just search it off Morg and activate it next turn. You want to search it, then discard it to use it, and then use it to bounce one of your Plunders in Spell Trap Zone and just get more advantage that way. That's how you're going to like get the full usage out of your Shipyard. And also the fact that this can equip like Whitebeard or Golden Hair, whichever Plunder monster you need, just to bounce it with Shipyard. Those are one of the crucial interactions with this deck that you never want to forget about. And Emblem's just insane. It's a 3-of. These are 3-ofs. You will have hands that you actually break without drawing these, especially going second. You need pressure with this deck. Your Plunders can only do so much. You literally only have one special summon extender. It's Bluebeard. You really need cards like these to help you to break these boards that people are making. And that's just my preference. That's how I like to play my deck. And then we have 3 copies of Booty to kind of finish up all the juice, all the good, the meat. The 3 Booty. Booty's insane. You can grind extremely well with this card. Every turn is a follow-up. It fixes the problem of your opponent not having the right attribute at the right time. You properly summon your ships, you bring them back. I've always been preaching that for so long, telling you guys, make sure you properly summon at least 1 or 2 Plunders so that in a pinch, this could just bring back Leafs. It could bring back Blackbeard. It could bring back more. You want to properly summon your ships is really important, because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to have to use this to put them back to your extra deck and then summon them that way. And it's going to cost more resources to do it, so you might as well just properly summon them so that this can get more added value. There are times when, yes, like today, actually against Shadolls, I really did burn through all 3 of my Moworks and still have to put one back to my extra deck just to summon it. It really gets that way sometimes when you're grinding, but Booty is just way too vital to not play at 3 in this kind of format. My defensive cards I have here, 3 Gamma and Driver, obviously. This gives you a lot of pressure. If you look at all of my Synchros, they are all generic, just tuner, non-tuner. Gamma makes them all. It turns into a Plunder name in a pinch whenever you play through Ash or Negate, Dragoon, whatever it is. Gamma them, make a Brawn. That's one step closer into a Blackbeard. Or you can actually just Gamma with Whitebeard in hand. Is pretty nice too, because you make Brawn, force a back row, and then separate chain, trigger Whitebeard. It's a great way to navigate through these boards, having the Gamma with the proper sequence in your hand. You can set up a way to push through a negate, get a back row out the way, and then still trigger your Whitebeard to summon out something, and then link that and the Brawn into the Blackbeard. Blackbeard will force more interruptions and draw. It's just insane how this deck plays when you know what you're doing and you have the right hand. You can beat almost any deck and any player, no matter how good they are. It doesn't matter. This deck is just really that incredible. Gamma's amazing. Ash on Desires, Ash on your field spell, it doesn't matter. Gamma's going to protect everything for you, and it's really cracked when you obviously draw Shipping, the Fusion. You know, you just activate it. They have to negate it. It's a must negate. You can't let it resolve. Otherwise, you put a negator up. So you just chain Gamma. And then you get Brawn and Lease out, 2 Plunder ships, and you just start dismantling their board. Gamma is one of the best hand traps in this deck. And it's a light attribute, which is really important for Emblem. Next up, 3 Ash. Ash is generically applicable. You just need to have access to certain attributes sometimes. Like, Dark is not really an issue, especially at my locals, all these Shadol bandwagoners. I really don't have an issue with people having Darks for me. I just need the fires and the light. That's why these hand traps are still here. Ash is, you know, just generically applicable, the best hand trap, honestly, for all situations. And then I'm also playing 3 copies of Droplets, 1 Called By, and then triple Ice Dragon's Prison. So these are like my tech cards, so to speak. These are the non-themed, non-archetype cards, and these put in a lot of work. You don't really need a whole buttload of them. The Plunder deck itself, your engine is so good, it's recursive. There's really not more that you can ask for. Like, there's not a lot more you could ask for out of a deck when it does so much, and what it does so well. It's the thing with this deck, too, is like, Plunder's not going to stop anyone from playing. Everything this deck does is very fair. It's very reminiscent of Sky Striker and Salamangreat, where you just have a really good engine that can do multiple things. It's a multi-purpose kind of jack-of-all-trade thing, and your engine's recursive. It's able to generate enough advantage so that you have plays to make every single turn, and it's strong enough to push through multiple interruptions and not just fall prey to 1 Ash or 1 Gamma or anything like that. This card is just a good meta call. It's good against Dolls, it's good against Dinos, it's good against Dragon Link. It's pretty much good against everything out there right now. Called By is just insurance. Ash can sometimes hurt your deck a little bit. And then Droplets is pretty cool. There's some nice tricks you can do with Droplets in this deck. Like, example is one of the coolest interactions, honestly, outside of, like, you know, Activate Fusion, Chain Sin, Droplets, you know, use your field spell. The Droplets has so much synergy in this deck because a lot of your cards don't mind being in the grave. Like, you can just Shipyard, for example. You know, you can send this for cost and then Shipyard from grave to add it back to hand and still use this effect to search. But one of the cooler interactions as far as on your opponent's turn is like when you activate Redbeard to summon from the extra deck and equip, you can actually activate it, and then let's say they negate it, let's say they don't, it doesn't matter. You chain Droplets to hit a powerful card like Dragoon. Dragoon is the best example because that card can be a problem sometimes. You send Redbeard for cost, summon your Mowork, separate chain Redbeard, equip itself to Mowork. So you're in the same position you would have been if you didn't have Droplets, but the difference is Droplets was able to Redbeard was able to pay the cost for droplets and still give your Mork an equip, which is a very, very cool synergy. The same thing with like sending Whitebeard, sending Golden Hair, sending Bluebeard, sending Shipping, sending Shipyard. All those cards have great effects in Grave. So droplets actually, even today when I got Artifact Scythe, the droplets helped me because I had Whitebeard, Golden Hair, and Redbeard. It helped me in the sense that I was able to get a free special and then commit my normal. So it turned my Whitebeard into an extender. So I think this is better than Dark Ruler in this deck, because you can actually combo off with your droplets if it makes sense. It's really, really cool. So those are the defensive cards. That is the main deck. It's 41 cards, very consistent. I didn't really brick today. Actually, I never brick today, thank God. And then, like, I drew better hands than others. Some were just like, you know, subpar hands, but I didn't just draw unplayable. Extra deck is 3 Blackbeard, 3 Lease. These are the important cards for your resource funnel that I was telling you, that little loop that I mentioned earlier in the profile. 3 Morks. This is a must-have, this format. I burned through these a lot and still end up recycling it just to summon it again. I summoned Mork 4 times against Shadolls today. I banished multiple Constructs and Alistairs. It puts in a lot of work right now. I banished Golden Lords. This was also killing Unchained because all their cards need to be touched into the grave. They need to be destroyed. I was literally, it got to a point where I banished both his Unchained Souls, Abominable, the level 8 guy that summons itself from hand, and I summoned his Disaster the Dog. Those are all 3 of his main guys that he needs to make the Unchained Link to. Banished off of Mork. It was just insane. Mork and Ice Dragon's Prison just make this deck really, really nutty against graveyard decks. And then we have 2 copies of Brawn. This card is exceptionally good against all these control decks right now. That's what I mean by like this deck. Like there's nothing really unfair that the deck does. It's gonna let you play it. It's not like an FTK or just a degenerate deck that says you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just very reactive. It has a lot of different answers to certain problems. And like when you have the answers to combo being like Lease and Mork, and then when it comes to control decks, you can really just grind them out with Blackbeard and Brawn, just drawing more cards. Because drawing cards against trap decks is actually really good. Because a lot of times you're going to 1-for-1 or 1-for-2 them. You're going to trade your cards with their back rows. That's what happened against Unchained. I played into his Ice Dragon's Prison, his Escape, his Chamber, and his Sanctum. And I was trading a lot of cards with them. And Blackbeard would have been so perfect if he hadn't, you know, like raged for my Golden Hair. But this card's just really, really good. Another great way to grind against control decks is Hard Summon Mork. I've said this quite a bit against to a lot of people and a lot of my Plunder Patrol profiles. Like Hard Summon Mork wins a lot more games than you would give it credit for. It protects your entire Plunder Patrol board. Every Plunder Patrol card can't be destroyed at least twice. You make it and you equip it with the emblem. It can be targeted, can be destroyed by battle or card effects. And it's just a pain to get rid of. Golden Lord can no longer send this. It's just insane. It actually makes people not want to play Shadow Fusion, believe it or not, because they're not only playing deeper into like what you have, is like the fusion they summon is going to get banished. And it's like the only real benefit that they would get out of it is what they send as materials, but it doesn't really get them any further ahead. They're still going to be looking at the same problem of having to deal with Lease. And then getting past that, my generic cards are going to be Abyss Dweller. I actually took out the Bahamut Shark Totally Awesome package today to put in Abyss Dweller in access code. I actually traded off my access code, so I don't have it anymore. But these are like the only generic cards. You use this for Golden Hair to be a 1-card combo. Dragite is you just need it so your deck can have a spell trap negate because you already have monsters down with Lease and Mork. And then Dweller is just an insane meta call. It's good against Tri-Brigade, against Dinos, against Dragon Link, against Shadolls. I mean, it's just pretty much good against everything right now. Even the new Reptile deck. Abyss Dweller is just insane. This deck makes it so easy. Another thing that I was thinking about was either Gagaga Cowboy or Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, so that I don't lose in time. Because you do make Synchros pretty consistently and Rank 4s pretty consistently in this deck. But yep, that's going to conclude the profile. The side deck is Patreon exclusive. With all that said, God bless you guys. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Stay tuned for future content, and peace.